A shocking survey found at least 786 children died of abuse under the nose of protective agencies who were aware of the potential dangerous situations. The Associated Press says its comprehensive nationwide study covered a 6-year period. Only a few of these stories ever come to light. Stories like the death of 7-year-old Nix Marie Brown in 2006, for example, horrified New Yorkers. The story itself horrified New Yorkers. Child welfare officials failed to heed the warnings, and 7-year-old Nix Marie's little life ended with torture. Another case tells a similar tragic tale of the murder of 6-year-old Elsa Izquierdo. Her drug-addicted mother beat her to death. Elisa's father and teachers told authorities about bruises on the child's body, but they acted too late. Jill Jones Soderman is a psychotherapist and executive director of the Child Victims of the Family Courts, and she joins us on the phone to talk about this terrible, terrible problem in our country. Jill, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us.
Thank you.
I would imagine this was an investigation done by the Associated Press, and these numbers are not collected by the federal government or any state agency I know of. So I guess my first question is this a much bigger problem even than we know with these 760?
Enormous problem, because there are so many children that even never get to the purview of the culture of child protective services. There are so many cases that are not accepted for review or for evaluation or for consideration of any kind of protection. It's a highly biased, highly personalized view of what they think the child is actually experiencing, the relationship of the caseworker with the parent. So there's the power and control is to the caseworker and their perspective on whether a parent is being abusive or whether a child is just complaining.
Jill, is this simply an issue of protective service agencies being overwhelmed with cases?
No. Child Protective Services is not overwhelmed with cases. That is an argument that is entirely specious. Child Protective Services does as much as they possibly can to avoid cases and to avoid doing the work of really being engaged in families' lives in a constructive way. It's more like a police state and a police agency, which comes in with the police to inspect and to review somebody's home. They're an agency that's reviewed by families with enormous fear and suspicion because of the power and control that they exercise.
So, Jill, in these cases where these children literally die under protective agency noses, is this a case of apathy or poor training or lack of personnel to adequately recognize the situation? What's going on here?
I think it's a case where there has been a decision made that these are children in safe homes, or they're children that are not of interest to the agency. They're not children who are going to be adoptable. They're not going to be able to be placed in foster care or removed from the families. The kids who remain with their families are of much less interest to the agencies, as far as I'm concerned.
In a country like ours, with the wealth that we have and the technology that we have, this just seems to be something shameful for our country. So how do we address this? What's the path to improvement?
Well, one of the paths is dealing with poverty. The level of poverty and ignorance in our underclass means that people have no means of speaking up or fighting back. There aren't lawyers. There isn't legal aid. There isn't any. It's who guards the guardians. Social services is an evil empire. It is an empire that has power and authority beyond the control of the common people. So they have no place to go to file complaints about the caseworkers who are indifferent and who are not responding to them.
It sounds like accountability here would make a big difference.
Schools are very reluctant to become involved or to report abuse. They're concerned about being sued by families. They're concerned about about the implications of their involvement. So they tend to all too often stay uninvolved. But the level of poverty, people can't pay their Con Ed bills. They can barely pay for food. Children don't go to school because parents are incredibly traumatized. You know, when you have CPS in your life, they can come to your door at any hour of the day and night, pound on your door with the police, check on your children, or not come. You know, you could be asking for help with food, help with domestic violence. These are families who are terribly, terribly traumatized.
This is a conversation that needs to be had more. Indeed. We're going to have to leave it right there for now. But Jill Jones Soderman, thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.